At 2:11 a.m., I stood ankle-deep in a new river that used to be my carrot rose, watching a chorus line of plastic flamingos rush past like evacuees. Up the hill, an SUV horn blared, and somewhere in the darkness, a woman screamed with pure panic, "Not the Pottery Barn rug!" Her basement windows were geysers shooting water into the night. I'm Grant Voit, the quiet type who grows heirloom vegetables on 5 acres bordering the Primrose Bluff subdivision. I sell at the Saturday market, keep my radio low, and wave with exactly 2 fingers from my tractor. The HOA president is Lerene Cobb, known locally as the Drizzle Warden. She wears pearls in daylight and a reflective vest at night. She runs Birchway Estates like a cruise ship at DEFCON 2. Her mission was to reclaim neighborhood views, which translated to my windbreak trees and crops offending her sightline to sunsets she never actually watches. First, she sent letters citing me for unapproved water features. That was my pond, dug legally since 1998. Then she inspected my ditch with a selfie stick and declared it non-compliant aesthetically. She rallied the board to manage runoff with a community beautification swale, which is HOA speak for digging a trench without asking. Overnight, landscapers carved a glittering canal along the property line, lined it with fake river rock, and this is key, they tilted the grade so every raindrop from 6 cul-de-sacs took the express lane straight to my beets. Lerene posed next to it holding a ribbon and novelty scissors like she'd just opened a shopping mall. My carrots wilted like a jury hearing closing arguments. The water pooled in my fields, drowning months of work. I measured the grade myself and documented everything. The slope was aggressive, calculated, and absolutely intentional. She'd turned physics into a weapon against my livelihood. Then came the storm, a slow-rolling, tantrum-throwing July monsoon that turned gutters into violins. The rain fell in sheets so thick you could barely see 10 feet ahead. I set sandbags, opened the standpipe, and called the county watermaster. He pulled up in a mud-splattered F-250, eyed the HOA's trench work, and asked very gently, "Who decided gravity should trespass?" I pointed toward Lerlene's Tudor palace, where fairy lights shimmered above her patio like a crime scene Christmas. The watermaster took photos, measured grade, and called in floodplain management. While they were chalking arrows on the asphalt to mark water flow patterns, Lerene marched out with a clipboard and shouted with indignation, "You can't be on HOA property." The county badge answered for me. The inspector held up his credentials and said calmly, "Ma'am, we're investigating illegal water diversion. Step back, please." Floodplain showed the receipts. They had state statute, county ordinance, and the conservation easement that protected my ditch, which the HOA had illegally plugged with decorative bark. They found downspout extensions illegally tied into the beautification swale, effectively weaponizing rain. Also discovered was a clandestine pump sending stormwater from the HOA's retention pond into my lower field for overflow stabilization. Translation: my carrots were Lerlene's backup drainage plan. The inspector wrote citations so fast his pen smoked. He ordered immediate breach of the bark dam and restoration of the original grade under county supervision, at HOA expense. Lerene sputtered with fury. "This is community water." He said flatly, "No. This is evidence." The violations kept stacking up. Unpermitted grading, illegal water diversion, destruction of protected wetlands, and interference with natural drainage patterns. Each one carried hefty fines. And then karma clocked in for its shift. The crew popped the bark dam with a loud slurp sound, and the diverted water took one look downhill, changed its mind, and remembered the topo map. It surged sideways along the fence line, hit the HOA's brand-new trench, and you turned straight toward Birchway Estates. Lerlene's house sat at the lowest kiss of the cul-de-sac like a greedy spoon waiting to catch everything. The swale became a bobsled track. Water leapt the curb, cannonballed through her egress window, and turned her finished basement into a koi pond without the koi. From inside came a sound like a teakettle learning to swear. By dawn, her restoration hardware sectional was doing laps around her home theater. Neighbors filmed from their driveways. The county filmed for documentation. I did not film, but I did however label a folder, "for court," on my computer. The water rushed through her basement with such force it lifted her custom wine fridge and sent it floating. Her Persian rugs became magic carpets surfing across the room. The home gym equipment looked like abstract art installations half submerged in muddy water. She stood on her front lawn in designer pajamas and rain boots, watching through the window as her basement transformed into an aquarium. 2 weeks later, my fields were regraded and reseeded on the HOA's dime. The board suspended Lerene pending hydrological review, which became the new phrase for their newsletter. The county fined the HOA for unauthorized drainage alterations, ordered a permanent restoration plan, and required Lerene to complete a stormwater management course before she could hold any neighborhood role again. Insurance declined her claim for man-made flood event. She sued the contractor, but the contractor produced emails with subject lines like "Re-Lerene's Secret River" and "Per your instructions to redirect water." She settled quietly like a splash petering out. The final tally hit hard. The HOA faced $47,000 in county fines. Lerene personally owed $18,000 in restoration costs. Her basement repairs topped $60,000, all out of pocket. My carrots came back with a vengeance, crunching like an alibi. I dropped off a complimentary basket at the HOA office with a card that read, "Best enjoyed uphill." The new board president accepted them graciously, mentioning they'd already scheduled proper drainage consultations. The county posted their final report online. It became required reading for HOA boards across 3 counties as an example of what not to do. Lerene's name appeared 37 times in the document, each mention tied to a specific violation. She moved out 3 months later, her Tudor palace selling for considerably less than market value due to disclosed water damage. At the next farmer's market, customers lined up for my vegetables, many having heard the story through neighborhood gossip. One woman bought extra carrots and said with a grin, "These aren't just vegetables, they're symbols of justice." I smiled and kept the line moving, but she wasn't wrong. Sometimes the best revenge grows in rows, feeds families, and proves that no amount of HOA authority can override the laws of physics and proper drainage. The investigation revealed even more shocking details. Lerene had been collecting kickbacks from the landscaping company, taking 15% of every beautification project she pushed through the board. The contractors testified under oath that she'd specifically instructed them to angle the drainage toward my property, even drawing diagrams on cocktail napkins during their planning meetings at the country club. One contractor kept those napkins as insurance, sensing something wasn't right. They became Exhibit A through F in the civil proceedings. Her husband, a mild-mannered accountant named Harold, discovered her secret HOA slush fund while gathering documents for their insurance claim. She'd been skimming from the landscaping budget for 3 years, hiding nearly $30,000 in a separate account labeled Garden Excellence Fund. Harold's lawyer served her divorce papers the same day the county served their final citations. He told neighbors later that he'd always wondered how she afforded those monthly spa retreats on his salary alone. The State Water Board made an example of the case, issuing new guidelines specifically referencing the Primrose Bluffs incident as a cautionary tale. They mandated that all HOA boards in the county attend water management seminars annually. Lerene's replacement attended the first one, took copious notes, and assured everyone that neighborhood beautification would never again involve redirecting nature. During the investigation, they discovered Lerene had done this before. 2 previous neighborhoods had mysterious flooding issues that stopped the moment she left their boards. One former neighbor from Riverside Commons testified that Lerene had tried the same scheme there, but they'd caught it early and forced a resignation. She'd simply moved to Primrose Bluffs and started over, escalating her tactics each time. The pattern was clear. This wasn't incompetence, it was malicious intent refined over years of practice. The morning after the flooding, I found Lerene standing at my fence line, staring at the muddy tracks where water had carved new channels through her perfect lawn. She turned to me with tears mixing with rain on her face and said quietly, "I just wanted a nice view." I responded simply, "Views don't require drowning your neighbors." She nodded, understanding finally hitting her like the water that had hit her basement. Her reign as the Drizzle Warden was over, washed away by her own manufactured storm. The county's final judgment came down 6 months later. Beyond the fines and restoration costs, Lerene was permanently banned from serving on any HOA board in the state. The judge's words echoed in the courtroom as he said sternly, "Your actions showed a blatant disregard for property rights, environmental law, and basic neighborly conduct." Lerene sat frozen in her chair, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water, unable to form words as the gavel came down with finality.